It's been a very emotional couple of weeks. Had a big spike in canola futures. We're off those highs. We're talking about declines of 15 to 20% here.
It could change in a dime. We don't know, right?
Yeah, we're dealing with extremes here. There's more coming. We just don't know what it is. You could do it on paper. You don't have to physically take it. That is a big difference.
It is. And the coolest part, too, is you're only getting fresh fuel. It never sits in a tank for months. That is the past. This is the future.
One of those has a savings of 72 cents a liter on it. That's wild.
This farmer is going to be laughing because their September load is costing them 68 cents a liter. You're getting $26,000 upfront of your own money that you are not having to wait a year for. And that's going to be, in this case, 3 times more than your dividends check would have been in today.
Hey folks, welcome to the What the Futures podcast, your quick guide to better farming decisions.
All right, folks, welcome into episode 130 of the What the Futures podcast. Of course, my name is Ryan, and I'm your host, hanging out in the UPL studio here once again. And don't forget to check out products like Wave. We're going to tank mix Wave with our fungicide pass on our peas. We're also going to do the same thing with canola. So check it out. It's a biostimulant, helps with nitrogen use efficiency. Reach out to your local UPL rep. We've got a special episode here today. We've got, a returnee, Lee Gress, joining us from Fuel Nexus. Lorelei's been on the show before, and we've talked a lot about diesel prices the last couple months now, and we're going to continue that conversation. Lorelei, welcome into the podcast here this week. How's the week shaping up for you? It's Friday. How you doing?
Good. And thank you for having me back. We've been watching diesel prices extremely closely because, as you know, they had a steady decline. WTI was really declining, but prices have been slowly kind of following suit. And so we've been kind of wondering and watching closely where they're going to go. So it has been an interesting week, and it's an interesting time for sure.
Are you a little surprised? West Texas has gone from $90 a barrel to the high 70s here when we're, recording this on June 19th. Are you surprised that the diesel prices haven't fallen off even more? They're still trading at similar levels as a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I actually was surprised to see, because generally we would expect a little lag in the market price, but then it follows. And if there's a massive drop in a WTI, and there's a lot of variables, obviously, that come into kind of predicting your fuel prices, but generally you can see that if WTI plummets, we are going to see the price in about 1 or 2 days after take a dive. And I don't feel like the drop we've seen in the marketplace has been reflective of that this time. So it definitely, and I know there's lots of people I've talked to who have different views on why that is. There's some pretty conflicting ideas and opinions. So I think everyone is just watching and wondering what's going to happen next, because it isn't the same as it has been in the last few months.
Yeah, lots of uncertainty. Today was the last day of preschool for both kids. And so it's been chaotic all day. But so I didn't see what Trump did on X. So I don't know what's going on with Iran here, if the MOU has continued to remain in place or what's going on. But obviously, lots of uncertainty out there. What about, I don't know if you look at historics at all. We know what the extremes are from the last few months, but if you look at a price today for, dyed diesel, is it still above kind of the, I don't know if this is fair, but the average of the last 12 months, or is it a little bit lower than that now? I guess I'm trying to get a sense of where do we sit, if we want to review the last 12 months.
No, that's a fair question. I would say, before everything went crazy, I would say a fair price before the shoot up was about $1.06 at the beginning of. Now we're sitting at about $1.15, $1.16, depending on where you are. Would be kind of an average today price. Maybe some a little lower and higher, a few cents here and there. But so we're 10 cents higher than what people called normal. Now, there's always yearly trends too that you see. And if you go over, it's not fair to go far as 5 or 6 years, because then we were dealing with COVID crazy.
Yeah.
But in the last, say, 3 years, there was market trends where there was a bit of a dip in the summertime, and then it kind of creeps back up into the fall for harvest, and then dips again in October, November, December timeframe. So I would say that seeing it this high would be a little weird for our normal. And we would, though, still expect there to be a higher demand and it to creep up here coming into harvest time. But I always tell everybody when I'm giving them any kind of trends or prediction talks that would be like a normal year. And this year, it could change in a dime. We don't know, right?
Yeah. We're dealing with extremes here. We're dealing with the next geopolitical event, the next war event, like whatever that is. There's more coming. We just don't know what it is. So
yeah.
So Lorelei, what about like the temperature out there with the farmers? Like, do you feel like they're kind of covered for spray season right now? Do they kind of have their needs covered for the rest of the summer and are actively looking for fall needs? Is it kind of quiet out there? People, just operating hand to mouth? Are people stocking up and doing longer term deals? Like, what's the temperature out there?
Yeah. So most of the people I talk to are good for now, and they're in a place where they've got their fuel needs met, but everybody is starting to ask about the fall fuel. Right now, I see a lot of people kind of going back and forth between with Fuel Nexus and our pre-purchase. They know that there's discounts. Most people I'm talking to are aware of the program, but they also realize that it's 30-day terms. So for example, if somebody is to book today, they're looking at mid-August or mid-September. So a lot of conversations are, do I try to book in July so that I have fuel for the beginning of August? Or do I do, like you said, spot pricing for a little bit of fuel and just gamble on what the price might be closer to and then have my load booked for fall? But everyone I'm speaking to these days is set for right now and set for their spraying season. And really looking into fall. And then I've got some folks that are asking about next spring. And those I'd say are a little bit more on the rare side. Some people are really getting ahead of it. But when I explain the chart in front of us and how it works, you'll kind of see where some people kind of get their heads thinking really forward plan. And but yeah, everything is fall fuel these days. That's the big ticket.
Yeah, that's fair. I got a couple more myths I want to dispel with you at some point in today's recording, but we've had from a crop marketing side, it's been a very emotional couple of weeks. We've had a big spike in canola futures. We're off those highs. Same thing with wheat. We're off those highs significantly. We're talking about declines of 15 to 20% here. It's been quite emotional, right? You sell your grain, your canola too early. The price goes up. It doesn't feel good. But we're also getting a little bit of that. I'm not saying we're getting a little bit of that, but that sense also comes across to the other side. Like, I think today I talked about urea more than anything else. Do I buy summer fill urea? Is this going to be the lowest price of the year? Nobody wants to pay for diesel at the higher value. If I don't want to pay $1 if it's going to 80 cents, right? So I know the answer to this, but I want to ask it anyway. Fuel Nexus, am I, when I bought this load and I'm putting this 50,000 liters in my tank, is it over? I bought it. I'm taking delivery in 2 months. Is my price set? Is it done?
Yeah. You know what? The good thing is, I guess there's a 2-part answer to that. One, yes, if you purchase it in advance, you are predicting your price and you're locking in a discount. So you're covered if it's going up. But the question about it going down, what happens if the market plummets and it's 20 cents lower than what you discounted, your discounted price? Well, sure enough, on day of delivery, because we buy the fuel fresh from the refinery that day, we will always honor the lower price. So if the market is 20 cents lower than your discount, you're going to get that 20 cents difference back. That's number one. So you're not going to miss out on a good deal by locking into a contract. So you kind of win-win both ways. The other thing I was going to mention is that we do have, I haven't really spoke about it with you yet because it's a lot of information to take in at once, but there is another offer that we sometimes offer, and it's a newer offer called the Market Advantage. And maybe on another one of these, we can go into detail about it. But that one is built for if the market's believed to go down, because it's got a same start as this one. You still have your price pre-purchased on market value price with your discount up front. But what happens with the market advantage offer is for anybody that believes it's going to plummet, you actually don't know your end price until the day of delivery. And it's the day of delivery price minus whatever the discount is that you locked in. So if you were locking in, say, a 15-cent discount, it would be off whatever market price is day of delivery. So if the market drops 80 to 80 cents, you're getting your 15 cents off of that price. So your final price isn't figured out till day of. But again, if the market goes up, your 15 cents is still just off that price. So it's a little bit of a gamble.
Sure. Okay. So you can leave it kind of open if you've got an inside edge on the direction of where this is going, but you need to book your fuel because you got to fill, the combines up or the tractor up next spring. There you go. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I think if we could do this in other inputs would be fantastic as well. So, today we wanted to talk about, I'm a big planning guy. I like looking at numbers. I like, having things in order, well in advance. And again, if I'm living in with urea values today, most of my energy has been spent in the 2027 cropping plans this week, which sounds insane, but it's the reality. You guys actually sit down with growers and make a plan. Can you just walk the listener through what exactly we're talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. So that is what it is. It's a fuel plan, and it goes anywhere from 30 days to our 12-month out contracts. So what you see in front of us is like a typical starting pallet for the fuel plan. At the top here, I'll use this little red to help us out. But basically up here is today's market value. So no matter which location we're working with, I would pull up the pricing for that day and pop it in here. And that will change the entire chart according to today's market value. In this case, it's Shell refinery dyed diesel, and it's coming out of Moose Jaw. So that would be where we're just working with as an example. Now, this chart looks like a ton of numbers, but it's quite simple. On the left-hand side over here, we've got your contracts and how many days that they actually equal. So it's 30 days at a time, and that's 1 to 12 months. Now, in the blue column here, that simply just shows how many cents per month the discount is going to total. It's a little different because of our June promotion here. So these first 3 don't add up to just 4 cents. It's doubled. You get your extra 4 cents each month. And that's why those numbers. But this whole total discount column here, that just shows you how the discount grows over time. And obviously what I've said, if you've seen our program before, you know that if you're planning further ahead and purchasing further ahead, you're going to see a greater discount. And so that's the cumulative pricing. Now, I'll show you kind of what it looks like. So if you were to buy fuel today, you're going to pay $1.1699 market value price, no discounts, base price. If you say are looking at something in August, and I will note that August 19th, this is just these dates are showing a 30-day increments. So that's what I meant about somebody looking at purchasing today. That's going to be the date that their fuel becomes available. So I would say if you need it for August 1st, well, then we may have to just look at a July instead of an August contract. But to keep it simple, you put your 1 load in there. You need 1 load for August. This is going to be your price. And that's going to be your locked in price with your fuel taxes in, your freight cost in. The only thing it's missing is the GST. Okay. So that's an example of having your 1. Now, say you want September as well. So you need another load September. We pop it into the plan. It's totaling up your cost down here. I'll use my little red handy dandy. So that's going to be your total cost of your entire contracts with us. 2 loads. We're looking at about 100,000 liters, and then your average fuel cost per liter, because sometimes we're planning anywhere from 1 load to maybe 8 loads over the course of time. And people want to know generally what they're going to pay then across the board for their fuel. So if you were to book today in August and a September load, you're paying $1.29 on average for your fuel. Say you want to throw in an April load. So we'll throw one in the spring. Again, your price is highlighted here in blue. So you're looking at about 93 cents locked in and price protected. Again,
Okay.
it just like we talked about, right? It will never go up. That will be your final price, except with the GST added. But it could come down if the market dips, right?
Yep.
So now this plan would be a really good example of a three load plan. And what I added over here is the simple savings summary. And it's super handy because basically it just tells you everything all added up as you change that chart and work with us to see what your options are. Now you're saving a total of basic guaranteed savings, 26,000 and change. And that's for your total liters. This is your average cost of fuel. So you're just under $1 for everything. This is the average fuel discount because as you saw, all the discounts change per month, but it's averaging out at 17 cents per liter that you're getting off of market value. So instead of paying 177,000 that you would have paid for your 3 loads, now you're only paying 150 when you incorporate our discounts. So it's just a really quick, and anybody I send a fuel plan out to, I would give them the summary so that they can really internalize it and understand what that looks like. So that's a quick snapshot of what a fuel plan would look like. Okay, and I will say before I get on to, there's 2 more pieces to the plan, but I will say one of the main benefits of the plan is really that you get to predict your fuel budget, and then you get to actually identify your profit. And this is truly a real number snapshot that you could put in your files, in your documents. If you lock in these prices with a contract, they're not changing. So it is real time and it is your actual budget with us. So that is nice. And honestly, we know that our discounts require time. So if you're purchasing well in advance, you get to see how low you can get to because, right, our final cost here is 90 cents a liter for fuel. And it's been a while since we saw that. And of course, these numbers will all adjust based on, here, let me just show you really quickly what it looks like if I just adjust the price. Let's say it went down to 12 cents. Everything shifts. So now you're still saving the same amount because it's based on the discounts associated with 3 loads, but instead of paying 169,000, you're paying 143. So everything will change. Your lowest price now, take this with me so you can see, 86 cents. So it just gives you an idea of what happens with the pricing. So that is kind of the benefit of doing this. I think for me, the number one thing I get told from growers is that it is really nice to be able to pencil in your fuel budget and know it's not going to change, especially after this year. Guys thought they had a certain budget they were going to spend on their fuel, and it doubled in some cases, right?
Yeah, it's coming back to, I was in a seminar yesterday, and a seminar put on for ranchers, but it doesn't matter what you're doing in agriculture. If you're going to sit down and make a business plan and record numbers, like if you can start building budgets for next year, if I can build my budget for fuel, if I can build my budget for fertilizer, which apparently I can do now, start looking at next year's plan so that if the market spikes, if it pops up, I know where I'm making money growing these crops, and away you go. I've got a couple questions here. If you add loads, so right now we're dealing with 3 loads, spread out over 3 months. If you were to double that to, let's say, 6 loads, something crazy, would the discounts change, or are they the same?
The discounts, they stay the same.
Okay.
So once you get over a volume of 10 loads, that's kind of where we start seeing greater volume discounts, because we do deal with companies that are doing 10, 15 loads a month.
Sure.
So when it gets to that range, we start seeing volume increase discounts, real bonuses. But in this sense, they would stay the same. Obviously, your discount amount would grow because it's accumulated over all of them. But no, it doesn't change like that. I know what you mean. The other thing I should say too, before I forget about it, is just that you'll note that some of this, like one of these is for April fuel. I do have people that will use this option as a tax write-off. So they're getting ahead of next year's costs, and they're actually like putting in 2027 fuel costs into 26, and you can play with it that way. It gives you a little bit of more options and flexibility.
For sure. So we're essentially like 1 month away from being able to plan, I'd call it like your harvest 26 fuel, your spring 27 fuel, and your harvest 27 fuel. Like, let's say some magical world, the price continues to slide next week, diesel prices go lower. Like, you could really be setting yourself up and having your plan organized for 2027 here in just the next days. It's right here.
Absolutely. And nobody knows what it might do later. There will be people that will do that. I already know for a fact. And like I saw last year, there were people who bought their entire 2027 fuel in October of 2026 fuel in October 5. So that is absolutely something that people are considering. If we end up having a really big drop and everything goes our way and fuel is down to $1 or 90 cents and you lock in your fuel for next year, the discounts and the prices could be, phenomenal. Let's just play with it for a sec. Why not? Oops.
Sure.
90 cents here. Yeah, now we're looking at 64 cents a year out. And that price, that is it. It is price protected. It is locked in. If that is your plan, that's what you're going to get. So back in 2020, when crude went to negative or whatever it did, like farmers, if they had a spare 5-gallon pail, they were putting diesel fuel in it. Like, I'm staring at my garbage can here, like anything they could put fuel in, they were trying to fill every nook and cranny. Well, to the listener, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that. You can do it on paper right here. If something happens where you're sitting here and saying, man, 60 some cents fuel, that sounds pretty sweet. Where can I store this thing? It's on paper. You could do it on paper. You don't have to physically take it. That is a big difference. Difference. It is. And the coolest part too is you're only getting fresh fuel. It never sits in a tank for months. And that is the past. This is the future. Yeah. You do it on paper. You lock it in. It's yours. And it comes to you directly from a refinery. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite fuel provider out there? Like, and not to say, like, let's not say like quality wise, let's leave quality out of it. But is there a company out there that you're like these guys have nice swag, or these guys have the best coffee, or the best, the most efficient lineup management, or I don't know what it is, but does anybody stand out?
That's really funny that you asked, because I was just looking at competitor and refinery, the whole fuel market advertising. And I was picking favorites just based on some of the cool, unique ad campaigns that some of the fuel providers were doing.
Yep.
I don't know if it's right for me to say who play favorites, because they're like my children.
They're all great for you. Yep. Yep.
But I will say farmers definitely do. Not everybody, but I get all kinds of really interesting comments and stories and pasts and histories where someone has either stuck with a refinery type of fuel for their entire farming career. And then someone else will tell me quite a fallout story where they'll never go to that fuel again. So I don't have a favorite. I definitely get to see who is the majority favorite among orders. So I'd say if you call me and we're talking about it, I have no problem in telling you who I see the most of.
Denis Farms is no exception, because I believe we picked a very specific provider. I believe we picked a certain day of the week, and the sun had to be shining and the wind blowing from the south or something. I can't remember all of the things we needed, but it was something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, this definitely changes things, because I do get a lot of people that will tell me their favorite, and then they'll say, but what's the least expensive one for my delivery to me? And then that does sway people when they're planning out their fuel, So,
yeah, for sure.
Very good.
Okay. Now you have a couple other things to share with us today. Did you want to go over the cost of borrowing money? I think you had a little bit of work on that.
Yeah, that's a really common question that I get as well. Some people say, okay, I want to do this, but I don't know if if I have the capital today to do it. But they realize booking it now or in advance will make the difference. So what we've created as an additional to the fuel plan is a cost to borrow. It's a pretty simple chart. Basically, we get whatever the interest is that your bank would have. We put it in here. I'm using 7 as an example. Could be 5, could be whatever.
Yep.
And then this is just per one load to give you an idea. But say we did a September and you wanted to borrow the bank's money to pay for your fuel. You're going to pay about $880 over the course of time for that load. Now we know that we can guarantee about $8,000 in discounts based on today's market price.
Okay.
And that means you're seeing over $7,000 still in your pocket after the bank pays for your fuel. So there are some customers looking at these and weighing out their pros and cons that will say entirely the bank will cover my fuel. And that's what they do. To give you an example, say for our 3 load, I just covered it up to make it simple. If you do all 3, these 2 little additional columns just show you what your total cost would be for the plan above. So your total payment for all of them, even as far as April, adds up to $4,000 and change, but you're still getting over $22,000 in your pocket discounts. And I will mention that as great as these charts are to show you your kind of guaranteed value based on today's pricing, what it doesn't show is the potential value if the market changes, right?
That's right. Because if the market, the market goes up, that's not calculated in here.
It's nowhere to be found. And lots of stuff here, but really these are just an example. I blanked out the customers' names so that no one can see, but this is real numbers, real customers' post-delivery statements. And the reason I wanted to just show it quick was because in the yellow there on the left-hand side is 2 loads that had been delivered out of his 4 loads. And you can see in yellow there the actual value that farmer was able to capture based on the price of the market. So the that's
36 grand is that first one, and 26 grand is that second one.
Yes. Yeah. So pretty significant. And that was from the 10th. These aren't far off deliveries. These are just loads that have just been delivered, and they're saving huge. And the second customer here is sitting at 23,000. So
one of those has a savings of 72 cents a liter on it. Like, that's wild. Absolutely wild.
To get this, I was looking at some of the prices, and this farmer is going to be laughing because their September load is costing them 68 cents a liter.
Beautiful. Yep.
Yes. So that is a quick glance at what is the potential, because I can only ever show you what you will count on. I can't show you what your potential would be without knowing what the market's going to do. But huge. We
talked about that with the Lunchbox crew a couple of weeks ago. Like, just, this is where it's at today. These are your savings, but we don't know what the actual savings will be. And after we booked, the price had gone up, significantly. And then now it is making its way back down. But that's what the unknown, right? Of what's the market going to do, and then what are the true savings at that point. So, because all it's been to date is I need fuel, my tank's empty, I'm booking my loads, or I'm topping up or whatever, and you're subject to the market, whatever that market is at that time. Like, you might have a week or two of wiggle room, but it's like the decision gets caught. It's just like from a grain marketing side, when you have to generate the cash and you got to sell the grain and you just have this small window and you can't do anything outside this window, you have to generate this money. You're at a disadvantage, right? And it's the same thing with buying fuel. When you're stuck in this one window and you're like, I have to do it. What day, lucky rabbit's foot and crystal ball it over the next 2 weeks. But anyways, all right. You also had dividends as well. Fuel Nexus is offering a dividend. Is that what you're going to tell us, or?
No, actually, I wish. I know, right? Wouldn't that just? Actually, we jokingly say we offer your dividends up front.
Yeah, they're right there.
That is what it is. So I again get asked all the time, well, my provider gives me a dividend. It's my kickback. I get it at the end of the year. I look forward to getting that check back. I get it. So how do we compare? And we like to show every level of your finances and plan it all. And say your dividend check is based on 5%. Again, changeable for the person. Some are different. Now, the total cost based on the market value of the plan I showed you with the 3 loads is coming in here. This market value price would be without Fuel Nexus discounts. So it's the total amount. And then 5% of that lands you a check at the end of the year for just almost $9,000, right? You have to wait all year to get it, but you do get it. Merry Christmas. There's your 8,000, almost 9. What this just shows is the discounts that are the guaranteed discounts I was showing about market price. Yep. You're getting $26,000 upfront of your own money that you are not having to wait a year for. And that's going to be, in this case, 3 times more than your dividends check would have been and today. So you don't have, it's upfront. You can invest it. You can use it to do whatever you need to do during the growing season. And that is the direct comparison. So it just lets people understand, because sometimes when you're thinking cost to borrow, dividend check, is this still financially a viable option for me? This is how we can show you on one load or on all your loads what it actually will look like. So,
yeah. And like I would say too, like the savings of 26 grand, like, where could you park that money to make your 5, 6, 7% on it as well? Or it kind of cancels out too if you're borrowing the money. Anyways, it's more than that. Whatever it is, it's more than that actual number. You're kind of discounting a little bit because it takes 12 months to get it. So what could you earn on 26 grand over 12 months? So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could be, it could influence, maybe a bit more money available to pre-buy some FERT and who knows what, who knows what that could be. Like it's $500 a ton apparently some years. So, different. So, it depends how you want to activate those funds. Maybe you're going to buy SpaceX with it. Maybe you're going to go and pay the co-op a dividend back and say, you know what, don't worry about me guys this year. I'm writing you a dividend check just out of goodwill.
Just
right?
to be nice. Yeah. And honestly, a lot of people will come back to that amount and say, is it worth me buying a bulk tank?
Yep.
For the people that aren't in that space yet, they want to know based on their plan, how many years or how many loads it's going to take to pay off a tank.
Yep.
And obviously, like we talked about, this is the amount I can share with them, saying you can pencil this in your budget. But like I showed you with those post-delivery statements, those guys might have been promised 20 cents off a liter, or what is it? Savings of $10,000. And in the end got anywhere from 23 to 30. So yeah.
I also want to throw in here as we wrap up too is obviously a bulk tank and taking 50,000 liters, like that's not, some farms that's just could be their whole year supply. Maybe it doesn't work, but I want to say, coming from me to people listening, like we have pairs of farmers now operating as little fuel buyers together, where there's 2 of them within a nice tight radius that are, talking anyway every day. Like if you call my parents' house at 8 a.m, you'll never get my dad on the phone because he's making his rounds, talking to his neighbors. Right. But we have these little hubs now where it makes sense, where 2 guys are maybe making the decision together, but they're saving together. And I don't know, like that's pretty cool too. Like everybody kind of wants that. They want to group buy products, and here we are doing it. And so again, I don't know, Lorelei, if there's anything to add to that, but it's not for everybody, but yet don't forget, like there might be a couple of you that can get together quite easily and have it make sense.
Well, and absolutely. And that might be something that somebody does for a while, and then they can always branch out on their own later if they've got some savings in their pocket from doing something like this. I also really do encounter folks that didn't realize how much fuel they were burning through. When you're just buying on demand, sometimes you don't realize that you've actually gone through 2 or 3 Super Bs last year, and you didn't really realize that it was that much, and that you could be a bulk user and want your own tank. But absolutely, you can share with your neighbor. And really, the only additional fee there is only a $250 multiple site drop fee. So it's really affordable to team up and both get the discounts here.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate your continued insights. It's been fun having you, in the lunchbox through the last few weeks, just sharing pricing and strategy and market intel with the group. It makes a major purchase decision. The transparency and the continued communication just makes it flow a little nicer. So I know it's going to pay dividends. Oh, there I'm using it. Pay dividends for growers in the future and on some real savings. So anything else to add? If farmers want to, check out your information or find out more about your business over at Fuel Nexus, like how can they get a hold of you? Where should they go to learn a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to see kind of our quick posts and promotions, there's two options. You can go to LinkedIn is probably one of the better social media sites. We've got Facebook as well and an Instagram page. The other option is to get a hold of myself at lorelei.gress@fuelnexus.ca. And I can get your email added to a weekly newsletter that gives general price trends and what's happening in the marketplace, as well as any promotions we have, like this June promotion. Yeah, or you can just give me a call or text anytime. Hopefully you've got my number on here.
Awesome. We will definitely share that as well. Lorelei, thanks for joining the show here. Last thing, folks. If you're going to Ag in Motion, of course, I'm hanging out with UPL. I'm hanging out with BrettYoung. I'm hanging out with John Deere that week. But we also did a really fun activity here with Fuel Nexus. So my kids love sticker books. In fact, today, after preschool, we went and got new sticker books. And so we teamed up with Fuel Nexus. So there's a What the Future's Fuel Nexus coloring book, sticker book. If you come to Ag in Motion, if you've got little ones with you that are into this, it's a pretty cool little thing that we designed here. And we've got a couple hundred to give out. So certainly stop by. We have kids t-shirts as well, What the Future's kids t-shirts. We're trying to, do our best to cover all the angles while we're at Ag in Motion. But yeah, appreciate you guys supporting that, Lorelei. And I didn't share the final one with you yet, did I? Or maybe I did.
You did, and it's adorable. It's very cute. I loved it.
It's lots of fun, and we see so many kids there, so it's great.
Oh, and it totally brightens up their day when it's not all about the adults all the time. We're going to be there too, so we'll have to meet up and high five and maybe grab a drink together or some beverage. Yep. But anybody else, if I see you there, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. So come tap me. That'll be good.
Sounds great. Awesome, Lorelei. Take care, and we'll see you down at Ag in Motion.
Absolutely. Thanks.